So a few headlines from across the state. Let's talk first of all about what happened on the football field this weekend, which is that a huge a lot of shakeup in the Southland Conference. So coming into this week, we were looking at the possibility of a collision course next week between number 14 Incarnate Word and number 5 Sam Houston. It seemed like it was going to come down to those two teams, end of the season, duking it out.
Rock fight.
Now the Cardinals, now Incarnate Word does have a loss, I believe, and so as a result, they would need to beat Sam Houston State to win a share of the Southland Conference title. So Sam Houston State took care of their business. They beat McNeese, clinched at least a share of the title with the 27-13 win over McNeese. Looked very good doing it. Defense I thought was very, very, very good. And overall, Eric Schmidt was solid. And this was a team that they went out there and they took care of business. Then there was Incarnate Word, and Incarnate Word took on Northwestern State, and everything looked to be going great. Cam Ward found Darian Chafin for a 34-yard touchdown with 55 seconds left, and things were looking very, very good. They took a 47-46 lead. Everything's looking good. And that is when Northwestern State went 58 yards in 4 plays and kicked a last-second 32-yard field goal and took down Incarnate Word 49-47. As a result, Sam Houston State has clinched the Southland Conference title.
Congratulations.
They are in the FCS. They are in the FCS playoffs. It kind of takes a little bit of sting out of next week's game. That I was really looking forward to. That was gonna be okay, look, basically a playoff spot's on the line.
Right.
Now, we talk about at-large bids and stuff, but a guaranteed bid was on the line. It was gonna be a win and in type game.
Right.
But instead, Northwestern State rips the heart out of Incarnate Word. And look, Incarnate Word can still get in the playoffs. They still get in the FCS playoffs.
They're going to need that win, though.
They really got to beat Sam Houston.
Right.
If they lose Sam Houston, they're not going to get in the playoffs. If they beat Sam Houston, it's going to give the committee a lot to think about because then they would have knocked off what was the number 5 team in the country.
And a team that's already guaranteed to be in the playoffs.
So for Sam Houston, it was all sunshine and daffodils. For Incarnate Word, it was a heartbreak city. A few other news and notes from the state across the state. Edgewood is now looking for a new head coach as Kevin Bachtel is going to be leaving his spot at Edgewood to become his brother's defensive coordinator, Howard Payne. Howard Payne is Jason Bachtel is the head coach at Howard Payne. He is now hiring his brother, Kevin Bachtel, to go be the defensive coordinator at Howard Payne. So Edgewood is now open. Elsewhere, there's a couple of news and notes. If you go to TexasFootball.com, you'll find This Week in Texas High School Football from our friend Matt Stepp. A few other things to keep an eye on. There is I think there's a pretty big opening that may be flying under people's radar out east, and that is Henderson. Henderson has reassigned Coach Phil Castles after 8 seasons. Went 62-33 in 8 seasons, 3 trips to the regional finals. Last year was disappointment.
Yeah.
3-6, missed the playoffs for the first time since 2015. But this is a guy who's coached a lot of places in East Texas: Elysian Fields, Chapel Hill, Corsicana, and then at Henderson. And now you take a look at Henderson. I think that's a really attractive job.
Oh, yeah.
And especially now, part of it is you are going to be out in East Texas, and you're in Division I, which means that you're dealing with Carthage. But at the same time, Henderson's a really good job.
Yeah.
And one that I would expect to have a good number of applicants for that job. So Henderson is open. That's going to be one. It's going to be interesting. Also out in East Texas, same district, 9-4 Division I, Kilgore's looking for a new head coach. Mike Wood is going to move only into an athletic director position. He's going to leave as head coach not leave. He's going to be now just the athletic director instead of head football coach and athletic director. Led them to a state title game back in 2013. If you remember, that was the Carthage versus Kilgore game. 83 and 53. He's had a fantastic year there. They went 10-4, went all the way to the regional final before losing to Lindale. This is a very, again, 2 spots there in 9-4A Division 1. I think I said Carthage is Division 1.
Yeah.
Division 2. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was just fixing to say, Steph was like, hey, 32, and I was like, we're so used to that.
I'm just so used to it.
It completely, you said it, and I was like, yeah.
No.
And then I thought about it, and I was like,
sorry.
No, that's not right.
The coffee hasn't kicked in yet. Yeah, it did not click with me. Yeah, they're Division 2, because it said they lost to Lindale. I was like, Lindale didn't play Carthage. But yeah. Kilgore and Henderson are 2 pretty good openings there out there in East Texas. Obviously, they're disparate situations in that Mike Wood's going to be doing the hiring, or at least going to have a good say in who they hire. Whereas Henderson seems like it's going to be more wide open. So it's going to be interesting to see there. A small school retirement of note is Brent Cornegi, the head coach at George West, has announced his retirement. He was the 18 years as a head coach, most recently at George West. 124 and 79 in his career. Down there in South Texas, George West is a good job. That's a good job, and that's one that I would want to keep an eye on. So keep an eye on that. George West is now open. South Grand Prairie in the DFW Metroplex has landed their coach. They've stayed pretty local, and this is a nice get for them. They are hiring Laban DeLay from Arlington Lamar. Coach DeLay has a history at South Grand Prairie. He was an assistant under Coach Brent Whitson there at South Grand Prairie for a handful of years, 7-8 years.
Yeah.
And Coach Whitson left to go be the new head coach at Denison, which opened up South Grand Prairie. And so Laban DeLay announced on Tuesday that he is going to become the new head coach there at South Grand Prairie. A pretty good big get for them. And Arlington Lamar is a very interesting position. And suddenly, Arlington Lamar, of course, is a big time program there in Arlington ISD. And suddenly, Arlington ISD has 2 openings.
Yep.
They've got Arlington Bowie. And they've got Arlington Lamar. So they just filled Bowie. What's that?
Where did Coach
DeArmond go? You're gonna need to give me a second while I go look that up.
Yeah, because that was one of them that we didn't talk about much. He went.
Yeah,
under
he went to Joshua.
That's right. I was fixing to say it's been a very
Bowie
DFW little circle going on in Arlington now.
Bowie hires Joseph Sam from Fort Bend Hightower. And they just made that hire about a month ago. So this is Arlington, which has always kind of Arlington, I think, kind of prides themselves on stability in the coaching ranks. For them to have 2 changes in one offseason is rather striking.
Yeah,
it's rather striking. I mean, because you think about guys.
Coach Peach has been there forever.
Yeah, I mean, and you think
Bob
about.
Wager.
A guy like Bob Wager. Like, you go to a job in Arlington ISD and you're like, okay, I'm here.
Yep.
Like, they're
in there for the long haul.
They let them cook. And
yeah.
so to have 2 changes there in one offseason is rather interesting. So, of course, you can find all the updates at texasfootball.com for the latest in news and notes. I would be remiss, by the way, I hate to end on a sad note, but very sad news this week from Lancaster. As Tony Evans, a player who had signed with Wyoming just recently, was shot and killed at a Dallas hotel this weekend. And so very sad news coming out of Dallas today as Tony Evans, the Lancaster senior, was fatally shot over near Love Field in DFW. And so certainly thinking about the Lancaster family and of course, the Evans family there. Very sad news there. I hate to end headlines on a downer, but it would be remiss if we did not mention that. So.